Hi there, friends who love books. Today I wanted to, I think in the last video I sort of talked about the first book club I was in and my many hobbies. I have a lot of hobbies. I like to do a lot of things. It includes soap making and sewing and, bread baking and sourdough starters and all sorts of things. And one thing I did after I started my book club was I was on retreat with a lot of my crafty friends, and I decided that I wanted to paint the books for the year that we did. Let's see, go closer. I'm not an artist, I'm not trained. I just thought it would be fun to have, and they're not in order. So maybe I'll just kind of review. This was, we started, my kid he's in his fourth semester. So, what is it? It's 2025. So he started in 2023, I think. It's the last one, so I don't remember much. Anyway, I want to talk about these books, and I just thought this was fun and maybe something fun to share with you. So this was the first one I've done. I've done another one for a different book club, and I'll do a second one for this book club probably this summer because we started in August, so I have to find out what books we're reading and read them first. So anyway, I'm just going to go sort of how I have these stacked. This was definitely maybe middle of the year or whatever, I'm not sure. The Fellowship of the Puzzle Maker. I liked it. Remember, my rating is can't stop thinking about it. I loved it. I liked it. Could have been better. Did not finish. And I have all of those on this list. So I liked this. It was a, how do you talk about this book? I don't know. What does it say? So a kid is raised by this woman who is in this puzzle making group, and I think it was, if I remember correctly, I think it was born out of maybe code breakers and things from the war, and his parentage, and there's a little romance and little mystery, and it's fun. It was a fun book. I enjoyed it. It was fun. This was suggested by, we had met at this place that's, I think it's called Pecan Town Books and Brews, and it's a little place near us, and they have good beer and good food, and it's a bookstore. So we had our book club there, and we asked the owner to make a recommendation for our next month, and she suggested this, so we purchased from her. It was a nice way to support the business. And the popcorn and the beer were good. But this was fun read. Okay, so okay, this book was controversial. Some ladies have never returned from this book. I don't know if this is a YA. I don't think it's YA. Kind of reads YA, but it's not pleasant. It's about a serial killer who kidnaps girls, and we all have girls, and some of them are of the age. I think they had to be like 16 was the prime age, and then on your 21st birthday or something, he kills you, and he displays you like a butterfly, tattoos your back, and it's sick. It is sick, but we all knew it going in. It was fine. I liked it. Not because of the sickness, but it was an enjoyable read. It was entertaining and, without sounding gross. This is a hard book to say, oh, I liked it because of the content. But you can enjoy the process without approving of what's going on in the book. So this was really controversial. I think there was only 5 or 6 of us at book club that month, and people tapped out. And I don't even think this is my copy. I think one of the ladies gave it to me because I lost mine, or gave it to somebody. I don't remember. But anyway, controversial. But if you like that kind of, thing, and good Saturday afternoon read, make some popcorn. Okay, here's one of my 5-star. Or I shouldn't say that. Couldn't stop thinking about it. This book, man, I think I loved, this was my first Kristen Hanna book. And I grew up in San Diego, and the beach that this girl grew up on, that was my beach. I used to ride my bike to the Strand, and I spent a lot of time at this beach. It starts in 1966, which is when I was born. There's a character named Joni in there. And my dad went to Vietnam, and he didn't come home okay. And, I don't want to get emotional about this, but there is a part in the book where she sort of turns a corner, and it has a date on it. And my dad died the month before. And so for me, moving on and reading this, I think it's in here, she kind of turns the corner in September of 82. My dad died in August of 82. And I just thought, okay, this is what could have been had there been things in place for him. But it was super emotional, impactful, and healing in a weird sort of way too. And my personal stuff aside, it's fascinating read about the women who served in Vietnam and the fight that they had to be acknowledged post-war. I mean, it was a yucky war for all who served, but particularly the women. So even without my personal connections to this story, I would have thoroughly enjoyed it and learned something. And I love learning something from a book. Can't stop thinking about it. Okay, the next one. All the Light We Cannot See. I loved this book. So I loved it. And I know it was a Pulitzer Prize winner, and it should be. Can't stop thinking about it. Now I do think about it from time to time. One of the criticisms, so again, this was a mixed bag for our group. One of the criticisms came from those who did audiobook exclusively. Well, I read it, and they had a difficult time. It switches points of view and time. And so there's a lot of jumping chapter to chapter, if I remember correctly. Place, time, the boy, the girl. It's a World War II story told from mainly the points of view of two children and the people that surround them. And I think one's in Paris, and one, I can be confusing it with another book, but the other is a German boy who becomes a soldier, and he has a sister, and it's beautifully written. I detested the adaptation because they changed so many things that I thought were pivotal in casting and in storytelling. So I detested this adaptation. I'm not sure if it was like a mini series or something, but I tried to watch it, and I ranted all through book club because some of the ladies were like, "Oh, it was great," and I was like, "You didn't read the book." And that's my opinion, just my opinion. You can love the adaptation and hate the book, and I can love the book and hate the adaptation. So it's fine. I'm not telling you have to think like me at all. I enjoy when people don't, and then we have a nice conversation about it and why we both arrived at the places we arrived at. So love this book. I would suggest reading it rather than doing the audio. At least that's what it seems to me. Okay, I think this is the first book we read. Oh, goodness. It is something. It has a lot of flaws. It was an enjoyable read. I'm laughing because at our first book club, I had just had another surgery. I had a shoulder surgery, and I was in a sling, and I couldn't move, and I couldn't even get in the car. And fortunately, it was one of the gals lives in my neighborhood, and she hosted, so I walked over there. But she had handcuffs for us. And it's funny because somebody is handcuffed in the book for most of the book. Anyway, it was a fun read. I liked it. again, kind of like 2 Saturday afternoon reads or whatever, but it was fun. This, I think, was an early one, The Lost Book of Names. I liked it a lot. Somewhere in between liked it and loved it. Yeah, not all the light we cannot see, but really an entertaining, enjoyable book. I wanted it to be real and true, so I liked it that much. I went digging to see if there was, excuse me, anything similar or, you know, true fact-based kind of thing. But I enjoyed this. I would probably read another one of her books too. Anyway, yeah, fun read. Okay, here's my only did not finish. And it seems to me, I know people love this book and they have lots of feelings about it. I was on a cruise for my 25th wedding anniversary. Something about October. I have a pattern of I'm not reading these dumb books in October, and it doesn't matter what the book is. So I think it's a me thing and not the book thing. I know people like this book. I was so annoyed with it. I thought it was dumb. Did not finish. So I'm not going to belabor that because some people loved it, and that's fine. And people in my book club loved it too. And I just like, not for me. Okay, this one, I almost have 2 ratings for it because I hated it 90% of the way through the book. I was on a trip to New York City with 2 girls in my book club, and 2 of us were reading this. One of us, they were reading The Women. And I hated all the decisions the adults were making. I was frustrated with the bad decisions the adults were making in this book. And no, wrong one. Sorry, wrong. Wrong book. I loved this book. I loved everything about it. I couldn't stop thinking. I hated the adaptation because the casting was all wrong. And I'm not going to do any spoilers. Sorry. I loved everything about this book. I loved it. Loved it, loved it, loved it. Didn't want it to end. Cried at the end. Partly because it was ending. And I didn't want it to end. I remember coming in and telling my husband, my book's going to be over. I don't want it to be over. I loved everything about this book. Sorry. I should skip now to the one that I just gave all my blah, blah, blah. Loved Lessons in Chemistry. Really good. Yeah, I may read it again. And I don't reread books very often. Okay, let me skip down to my love-hate book. Yes, I had a love-hate relationship with this book. This was the one I was reading in New York. I hated it, and then, oh my goodness, I loved it. I loved it. I wept for days. Couldn't stop thinking about it. Still can't stop thinking about it. The characters have become so real in my head. And there are scenes that are so vivid. It's a beautiful, they say it's a retelling of Little Women, and it's about a sister group and their family and their extended family and what it means to marry into that. I have 3 cousins. They're all, sisters and very tight. And I couldn't stop thinking about them. Not that their family was dysfunctional like this, but their bonds and how their lives are intertwined and what that means for everybody who loves them. And so I don't have sisters, so, but beautiful book. If you are like me and my friend who was reading it, we were both hating it, and then you push through. Don't give up. Don't be frustrated. Push through, because there is a payoff in the end, and it is phenomenal. I loved this book. Can't stop thinking about it. Okay, sorry about the mix-up between Lessons in Chemistry and Hello Beautiful. I love them both. They're both really good books. Don't watch the adaptation, because okay, I shouldn't tell you that. I didn't like it because there are some physical characteristics in in the man in Lessons in Chemistry that were kind of key to some long-term story plots. You know, tall, blonde, you see him and that's not how they cast him. So, somebody gave me, one of my friends in book club gave me a bookmark that said, don't judge a movie by the book or something like that. And how can you not? Anyway, this one, The Midnight Library, is fun in a weird way. I found it to be fairly predictable. I figured it out, I think on page 2, what was gonna happen pretty quickly. But it was an enjoyable read, and if you like, you know, books, then it's a fun little read. I'd get it in paperback. We bought it right away and it was fun. I liked it. Yeah, fun little read. I shouldn't have ended with this one. Oh, this had a lot of, I guess maybe I'm the only one who didn't rave about this book. I was annoyed for a couple of reasons. I have told you things that I enjoyed, so the annoyance, you know, is part of this. I thought it was clear from cues in this book that she was English. And so there were verbal things that she would say that my English friends say, but my American friends don't. And I watch a lot of YouTube, and I watched a lot of UK and Irish YouTuber. Anyway, there were, apparently in the audiobook, it's an American who doesn't, I don't know. That's not, and it was fine. It was fine. Somewhere below I liked it, but above it could have been better. Even in my new rating system, I need some in-betweens. Step in between. It was fine. I read it. You know, would I continue in the series? No. Unless someone picked it or I'd missed book club that month. Anyway, so those were my books. And here's my little painting again. No particular order, just on I stacked them the way I thought it would be pleasing. And anyway, I thought it was fun. One of my other little hobbies. It's not watercolor, it's ink that I had from making, oh, I did put on here, August 2023, August 2024. Oh, right here, teeny tiny. I thought it was printed on there. My printing looks nice. I was a card maker for a long time. I did Stampin' Up. And so this is leftover ink from little ink re-inkers to do pads. I just used water-based ink because it's what I had. And yeah, anyway. I hope you enjoyed this. This was a little long, but there were a lot of books. There were 12 books, and that's more than I've ever done. So until next time, keep reading.